Hitman Absolution HD is a good way to play the game that has many improvements over the 360 version, although there are a couple problems with this new release. The basics start off well, the game targeting 60 FPS and a minimum of 1080p on Xbox One, bumping up to a super sampled 1296p on PS4, 1440p on PS4 Pro, and 1800p on Xbox One X. This is a doubly marked upgrade since the 360 version had improper frame pacing at 30 FPS that still persists in backcompat. Although 120Hz output on capable Xboxes helps tighten the variance in frame times. As IO Interactive mentions in its blog post about the new version, shadow and texture quality get bumped up to PC's high setting. The quality of reflections is now also equivalent to PC's high setting, however it has the same reflections missing as the 360 version and PC's low setting. Lighting calculations are now no longer baked into textures, so there's much less banding on specular highlights than on 360 and PC. There are also changes that go beyond what IO has mentioned. The level of detail has been improved to varying degrees. For example, in the decontamination level on Xbox One S, the hose wheel is in between LODs, while it's stuck on its lowest level on PC's low and is further in transition to the higher quality model on PC's medium. Plus, the grenades on the wall begin to swap out LODs, putting the level of detail for console between normal and medium. However, the furthest coffee cup has rendered in on Xbox, which is also fully rendered in on PC's Ultra, but only partially on the high setting. This is while the electrical cord hasn't rendered in at all while it has on PC's Ultra. Looking at the terminus level, the crates and trash bags nearby are partially rendered in, again in between low and medium, but the trash bag behind the chain link fence is rendered in, equivalent with the high setting. Generally, the level of detail is between PC's low and medium setting, with some objects taken from high or ultra instead. Other than that, the basic settings are the same as the 360 release. It still uses trilinear texture filtering, so it'd be worthwhile playing it on Series S or X for a boost to 16 times AF. All of those settings are the same across 8th gen consoles, but there are a few differences between PlayStation and Xbox. The first is that Xbox One consoles don't have any anti-aliasing, while PS4 and PS4 Pro are using a post-process AA that blurs edges and slightly softens texture detail. The second is a bug with the UI on PlayStation 4 systems where it has lowered black levels, which is very obvious on the main menu. What is also the same for all consoles, however, is a bug from the original release where the screen can flash for a frame or two in some spots depending on how you have your camera positioned. But it's easier to trigger here because frames are more commonly refreshing faster. For reference, I've only seen this twice in the first 14 chapters I played out of 20. One more thing I spotted is that the windows in the courthouse section have a more desaturated tint on PS4 and PS4 Pro than on the other versions. I don't think it's related to progression, and even the PS3 version has the same tint as all the others, so I don't know what it could be because of. Fortunately for performance, the console's mostly locked to 60 FPS. The main reason for frame rate drops are reflections, crowded areas on PS4 and Xbox One, long draw distances on Xbox One, and hitching when hitting a checkpoint upon completing a level segment. In my testing, Xbox One X barely inched ahead since 99.94% of frame times were at 16.6 milliseconds, but all consoles churned out 16.6 millisecond frame times at least 97% of the time, and comparing Xbox One S to Xbox One, I only saw one segment that had any improvement outside of run-to-run margin of error. Overall then, between Xbox One and PS4, it's a preference of whether or not you want to play with a sharper image that runs worse, or a smoother image that runs better with a slightly more accurate depth of field at the cost of some bugs. Series X is the best way to play it on console, albeit the game still looks best maxed out on PC owing to missing features on console like select reflections and tessellation and general lower settings. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching or listening, and have a good one.